Welcome to a podcast by Deity Animal Rescue.
We are going to introduce you to our guest today. She is a lifelong animal welfare advocate and dog mom. She adopted her first dog from Deity Animal Rescue in 2018 and has been a rescue sister ever since. She joined the team and has filled the roles of board member and foster director while maintaining her skyrocketing career as an executive personal assistant. Hannah has fostered 26 Deity dogs since meeting us and has adopted 4, and also a long foster in that one. This includes her soulmate dog, Oliver Prince, a senior Chihuahua from East Valley Animal Shelter. We're excited to talk to Hannah about how to incorporate animal welfare into your life in a significant and impactful way while still having a career and other life goals.
Wow.
Welcome, Hannah Strader.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh my God, I've known you for how long? You don't know how to say my last name.
No, we do. I actually just do it all different ways than my phone tells me, which is right.
It's okay. It's German. It probably should be pronounced Strader if we're being. Anyway.
Okay. Well, introduce your dogs, and then everyone will know when we talk about them.
So like Lindsay said, I adopted my dog Oliver in 2018. Unfortunately, he left us for the Rainbow Bridge last year, November 2022. But I still have Miss Penelope Lane, who I adopted from Deity about like a little over a month after I brought Oliver home. Penny is probably about 6-ish next month. And then Margot over here, she was a foster of mine in 2020. And I mean, I couldn't let her go. So it was about one day until I said, all right, you're staying with us.
COVID adoption.
Yeah, she was a COVID adoption. So she was May 2020. My sweet Josephine, I wouldn't necessarily call her a foster fail. I saw her at the shelter and was like, this is my dog. And her name's going to be Josephine. And she's coming home with me. And so it's a very long story of how we got to where we're at. But I've had Josephine since August 2022. And then this is my sweet Jude, who I could talk about all day long. He's a foster, but I've had him since November 2022. He actually came into my life shortly after Oliver passed away. And what do you think, Jude? Are you home?
Are we getting it on camera that he's home? Just wondering.
What do you think?
Should we take him off the adoptable dog list?
Jude has been on the adoptable dog list for almost a year. Fostered by Hannah. He is a peculiar fellow and could be a little grumpy.
You're in a good mood right now, right? You happy? Okay. Okay. Oh no.
That was an interesting rescue story, though, because I remember that like it was yesterday. Hannah sends a text with a picture of Jude's intake photo to the shelter, and she's like, I think I need to go get him. I remember the night that Hannah sent us a screenshot of senior Chihuahua.
Sweet senior Chihuahua, that's what it said. He's being sweet right now.
Who was on his final days of being able to be at the shelter, let's just say. And Hannah side texted me. I don't know that you know this.
I did.
And
but
it
why?
said,
Was it because my response was that we need a senior Chihuahua, like we need a Holden in our house?
Exactly. So the side text went something like, I don't know, Ellen, it's just something. I feel like I need to go get him or he's going to die. And I feel like he's got, Oliver vibes. And
yeah.
I just need him.
Do you think now knowing him that he has Oliver vibes?
No. I mean, parts of him, sure. But like Oliver was such a unique dog. I think mainly it was, hey, no. It was, they're the same color. They're both old men. They were both they're from the same shelter. Yeah. He got put on the blue list the same day that Oliver died. So I just like felt like all these things. I was like, oh my God, like this dog, there's just something about this dog that like I felt then and I still feel now that Oliver sent him to me, right?
Oh.
Excuse me?
Well, you've said that twice now. Like, you've seen these dogs at a shelter who have something. And if anyone looks around, they can kind of see you do like the seniors, you like the older ones, like perhaps they have an attitude. What is it about those dogs that pull you in?
I honestly don't know. And many people have kind of not necessarily asked me the same question, but they've said to me, like, it makes me like so angry. And I don't think these people are doing it to be like malicious or mean or nasty or, you know, whatever. I just think they don't understand, and it makes me cry. And I'm already like feeling just like all over the place today. So like I will cry when I say this, but people say to me, why a senior dog? Because they're just going to die. Always makes me cry. Sorry. It makes me so mad. But you think about that and you're like, wait, like, why go to your grandparents' house? They're just going to die. Like, it's just so insane.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
And then you think about that too, and it's like, well, what's the alternative?
That's true.
Just
I
makes me
actually
so
remember
sad.
when you were totally in love with Josephine and you were really set on taking her home, someone did send a message that insinuated, like, what is the point?
They said that dog is fixin' to die. They wrote that on a video of her. And I was like, that is one of the most heinous things you could ever say.
Yeah.
Who says that? Like, if I posted a photo of my grandma and someone wrote on there, hey, your grandma's fixin' to die, I'd be like, I'm going to kill you. Who says that? What is wrong with people? And so it's something where it's not like a savior thing where you're, I have to save this dog. I'm the one that's going to bring this dog. But it's just know that dog is a living, breathing thing, and it's just not fair. So I think that's part of it. Also, I have 4 dogs, and so like I'm not like a puppy person. Sure. Puppies are so much work. So I can't have like, you know, the dogs I already have and then like bring home a puppy. I work approximately 8,000 hours a week. So I don't have like the time to be, you know, worrying about training a dog or have a dog that's gonna be barking all day or whatever. And generally speaking, senior dogs are like, they're pretty mellow. They just want to hang out. They just want to lay on the couch, which is like my favorite thing to do. So I think like all of that to be said, the biggest thing for me is like, it's almost like it's the principle of it. Like that sure. we're not going to leave a dog in a shelter to die just because they're old. We're going to bring them home. We're going to show them like what it means to be part of a family and be loved and be taken care of and everything. And like, if you have that dog for 2 weeks, you have that dog for 2 weeks. And that was the best 2 weeks of that dog's life. And like, how amazing that you were able to give him that gift. I don't know. I get really angry about it.
I'm sensing that.
Just drives me insane. Why would you do that? The dog is old. Okay, I will run you over with the car if you ask me that.
Well, would you say that Miss Old Josephine has had a life since you've rescued her?
Oh my gosh, she has this dog that we always see on our walks. She's obsessed with. It's a purebred French bulldog. And Josephine, the shelter thought she was 15. I honestly don't know how old she is. She's not 15. That was a year ago, so she'd be 16 now. She's not 16.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know how old I think she is. 12,
She
13?
could go either way. If you told me she was 6, I'd be like, yeah.
Maybe we were just a puppy.
Yeah.
And she kind of like, this is kind of her thing, but she sees this dog on her walks. It makes me laugh so hard. She is obsessed with him. The second she sees him, she will come like run to him. And then she plays with him. She'll sniff him. She'll like do that thing where dogs like kind of do that. And then she'll play bow. She'll like spin in circles. It's hysterical. And I'm just like, this is the same dog who was in the medical room at the shelter in a cage. And she had like a little ramekin of wet dog food that had flies buzzing around it. And she had newspaper at like lining the bottom of her cage. And like, look at her now.
Yeah. But you're right though. I mean, she's not a dog whose meter moves very easily.
No.
She's kind of just very calm and mellow. So the fact that she has like a special friend is so cute.
Margot's like, and it's time to talk about me.
Yeah. Well, we'll get to you later, but I actually have a question about something you just said. You said that you work approximately 8,000 hours a week, which I
Yes.
think is probably true. Granted, it's not possible, but it is true.
Somehow it is.
Somehow it feels true. And so I want to know how, even with the busy schedule that you have, and you always have, you're like a very career-oriented person, how have you made animal welfare still such an important part of your life? Like, how do you find the time? How do you find caring? I just know that a lot of people are like, oh, I wish I could help, but I have a full-time job, or I already have a dog at home, or whatever. Like, what is it that makes you feel like you can still make an impact even while pursuing your other goals?
I think it's funny because my phone's going off. I'm like, who is calling me? It's MASH, like the vet. The vet is calling me. I think first and foremost, it has to be like something that you want. Like, it's like exercising. If it's really, for anyone, it's really difficult to fit it into your day, to get up and put the clothes on and leave the house and go work out. But if you want to exercise, you're going to do it. So the same sort of thinking can be applied, I mean, really to anything, but like if you like apply it to this and like kind of supporting animal welfare and believing in the cause of saving animals and rescuing dogs and finding homes for them and everything, it doesn't have to be, you know, grassroots, feet on the ground, marching outside of the mayor's office to demand more. Like, it doesn't have to be that. It can be whatever you want it to be. It can play to your strengths. I mean, like back in 2018 when I adopted Oliver, I really, you know, everything about Deity and about you two really resonated with me, and it was something that kind of like you just both pulled me in. And so I couldn't figure out at the time where I sort of wanted to like help and how I could help, because at the time I had 2 dogs. I didn't really, I didn't want to foster at the time. I couldn't. And I knew, you know, I had a full-time job and it was very demanding at the time. This was pre-COVID, so there wasn't really a whole working from home thing, but I still wanted to figure out a way to help you guys. And so I kind of looked through, you know, what are my strengths? And as Lindsay mentioned, I'm an executive personal assistant. And so I have a lot of experience in kind of organizing myself, keeping other people organized, events, you know, dealing with other companies and networking and that sort of thing. And so I came to you guys and said, like, let me help you out with events. Let me help you get, you know, items for events. We can have other companies donate to Deity and use those items for our dogs instead of having to use, you know, money that people donated for supplies and things like that. Let's get companies to donate. And so I was able to kind of make myself useful in that way because I knew I was going to be able to do that. I was very well versed in the language that needed to be used and, you know, marketing materials we needed and things like that for the events and for decks for partners. And so that because I already knew how to do those things, it wasn't as difficult to incorporate that into my life and make the extra time for that. But like now, you know, it's post-COVID. So the world is a little bit more flexible in terms of where you're working. And my current job is a lot more flexible in kind of, I don't go into an office every day, and I'm not very much all over the place as a human. And so it just, honestly, like, you just make it work. You know, you figure out a way to make it work. It's like if you're a mom or a dad and you have kids, and, you know, it's like when you have hobbies and you want to, on the weekends, you want to knit and go to a craft fair and like sell your knitted items or whatever. You can put dogs and animal welfare and whatever into that same thing. I think people conflate it and make it this giant thing, and it doesn't need to be that. It can just be very simple and easy, and like, dogs are amazing. What can I do to help? I tell people all the time, repost a dog on your Instagram story. It's that easy.
Totally.
Yeah.
And foster dogs, but really, if you can foster, just foster, please.
So
Right,
it's like a mental shift on what you prioritize in life, and then finding your niche in how you can help, because that's exactly what you did. You came to us and you said, you guys, like, let me leverage these contacts and these things that I already do in real life for you guys. And I remember that first holiday when you came in and you ran this silent auction. You got, you know, you reached out to so many companies And all of a sudden, all this stuff appeared in our space, and you just, I mean, you went with it. You got on lives. It was unbelievable. And I remember like thousands of dollars that otherwise we would not have had for the dogs you brought in. And it took, a little elbow grease and time on your end, but like it was a huge benefit for us. And then at some point you're like, let me put together the foster program. Can you talk a little bit about like your thought process around that, how you did that, how you came to land on what has become the Deity Foster Program? Yes.
So I think the biggest thing that backing up, over a decade, I was born in Los Angeles. I grew up in Wisconsin. I lived out there for 15 years. We moved there when I was 6 from my dad's job. So when I lived in Wisconsin, I was probably like 19, I think. And I was living at home and I was going to beauty school. And it was sort of that same thing where I've always really loved animals, but dogs especially. And so I said to my mom, I have been hearing about this fostering thing. We have the space in our home. At the time we had my dog Molly, who was totally dog friendly as long as like she still had your attention, and we had like 2 cats. And so I was like, let's foster. And my mom, okay, like I was pretty much just gonna do it regardless. I wasn't really gonna let her tell me no. But so we fostered with this organization out in Wisconsin. And the first thing that I kind of noticed about it was very much the owner of that organization she has no frills. She had like no emotion. She ran that thing with an iron fist. And the reason she did that is because she had been doing it for years. And she learned that like, you can't be, hey, hi, how are you? I have a quick question. It was, hey, we have these dogs coming out on transport. There's 30 dogs from the South. They all need a place to go. Which are you taking? It wasn't, hey, look at all these photos. Here's a brief bio. It was like, these dogs will die. That organization pulled dogs from the South, from shelters who couldn't, and I don't know, you can cut this out because it was a long time ago and I don't know, I might be misremembering, but I do remember, my mom can vouch for this. They basically said, these shelters do not have money for euthanasia drugs. They are taking the dogs behind the shelter and shooting them.
We will cut
because
that out.
there are too many dogs and they can't afford to euthanize them all. And so it was like, these dogs will die. They're already coming up here. There's nowhere for them to go. Who are you taking? And it was honestly like, you had to take a dog. And so you chose your dog and you got over yourself. And like, you can cut this out too, but honestly, like, you got to get over yourself. These are dogs. They're wild animals at the end of the day. We don't know anything about them. Sweet senior Chihuahua. Jude has bit me so many times. He's bit me in the leg, in the boob, in the arm, in the face, in the hand, everything. He is so mean to me. So mean. And I will like cry to him, like sing him a song, and he'll bite me. And I'm like, Jude. But like, that doesn't mean that like, oh, well, can't do it. Can someone else take him? No, get over yourself. You decided, this is for me personally, but like I decided that like Jude was going to be a deity dog. So he's stuck with me, like, and I'm stuck with him. That just is what it is. And so in that organization in Wisconsin, it was like, you got to take a dog. You signed up to be a foster. You're going to foster. You don't get to tell us no. You don't want to foster? You're done. You're off the emails. You're off the list. You're done. And so it sounds harsh, but I have seen the opposite, and it is so stressful and so disappointing and so upsetting that like, I tried to take things from that because I was like, that's legit. It sounds harsh, but like at the end of the day, we're all here to save these dogs. And we're not here to save some dogs and dogs that are potty trained only and dogs that don't bark when I leave. And I don't want to save this dog because they shed. We're saving all these dogs. Mm-hmm. And so backing up to your original question, very fired up.
I love that.
God, I just get so mad. I hate human beings so much. So I kind of was noticing first and foremost that like what was happening is we would end up with dogs. Let's say we had 3 dogs, and then we'd look at each other and go, who should we call to foster for us? And in the grand scheme of things, you know, every once in a while, especially with like specific dogs that we knew were going to require a specific home, sure, it is what it is. Like, that's fine. But for just the sake of everyone's, you know, sanity, and for honestly like the safety and comfort and just security of the dogs, I kind of was like, well, we can't do that. We have to have, like, how amazing would it be if instead of that, we just have a pool of fosters who every time we have dogs coming in, we blast those dogs out to everyone and say, who can take these dogs? And, you know, the fosters can all be pre-approved, so it doesn't have to be, okay, you want to take this dog? Great. Fill out an application. Once you do that, let me know, and then we'll do a home check. And it's none of that. That's all done beforehand. Let's just, like, have this pool of people, and then can you take a dog? Great. So that was, like, the biggest thing for me. So kind of just, like, staying organized in that way, I guess. I don't even remember your original question. I got too mad.
No, you got it. That was the original question.
I think that also shows how you kind of Venn diagram your life together, is you have this executive personal assistant role where you have to be very organized and not iron fist, but like you're here to get shit done. And you brought that to Deity. You took us from a 2-woman show where we were, you know, doing the best that we could, and you made us a business. And thank you. Thanks for that.
Thank you.
Can you tell us about the dog in your life that made you this way? That made you love dogs, made you love animals, made you love the underdog? Who is it?
Oh my God, I don't even know. No one's ever asked me that before. I honestly don't know. When I was born, my parents had 3 dogs. So basically, there was a year, I think it was 1989 or 90, it may have been 90, that the wire hair fox terrier won the Westminster like dog show. And my mom had never had a dog, always wanted a dog, and she watched the dog show and she was like, oh my gosh, that dog's adorable, let's get 2 of them. And my parents, this was a long time ago, you know, there was not enough knowledge back then. Way more is known now to the general public, I hope, about you know, why you should not be going to breeders and stuff. But, you know, my parents didn't know. They were in their like early 20s, and they went to a breeder and they were like, yes, we two wire fox terriers, please. And they got 1, and then like 2 months later they got the first one's cousin. And so they had these 2 puppies, and then they also, right before I was born, got a black lab puppy. And so that was like, I was born into dogs. And then we had those dogs, I mean, forever. And then when one of them passed away, and a while later, I remember like we were looking for a dog. We weren't sure, you know, what kind. We just knew we wanted another dog. We wanted like a puppy, so that, because, you know, at the time I was like 11 and my brother and sister are younger than I am. So we wanted a puppy, and we were looking at the shelter, and my mom, you know, we were looking all the time, and they didn't have what was right for our family. And then one day my mom went to the shelter, walked the kennels, didn't find anyone, and she was leaving, and this man was walking in with this little tiny puppy. And my mom started talking to him, and he told her, you know, my wife is allergic to this puppy, so I have to surrender it. Do you want him? And my mom was like, yeah. So my mom talked to the shelter and asked if it was okay, because she was like, I don't want to do anything I'm not supposed to be doing. And they said, yeah, go for it. So that was this. It's so funny because I know a purebred Rottweiler now, and this dog was not a purebred Rottweiler, but that was our dog Comet. And so he was the first ever shelter dog that I had. But even then, I don't think I fully kind of understood the importance of that. It was around that same time that I watched this video called Meet Your Meat. And decided that I was not going to contribute to, you know, being someone who thought that animals were there to serve the purpose of feeding me and nothing else. So I became very passionate about just animal rights in general. But I think it wasn't until I got my dog Molly from that same shelter in 2006, it was on New Year's Eve, that I really kind of grasped onto the fact that, like, these dogs need our help. My mom always said this to me, I thought was so interesting, even though I don't know if it's entirely accurate. She said, we domesticated dogs, which we did, right?
Yeah.
I feel like I saw something recently that said that they like did it on their own. I don't know, whatever. But she said, we domesticated dogs. We, as a society, have decided that we can't have dogs running around in the street willy-nilly. So it's our responsibility to take care of them and to treat them with kindness and to give them homes and you know, do these things for them. And so that's always really resonated with me. And I think I assume it was probably Molly, but I don't even think I became like insanely passionate about it until I was a little bit older, because we got Molly when I was like 15, I think. So I don't know. I think it was just a gradual shift. And then the more that I like learned and the more that I saw of people not quite understanding the consequences of their actions, the more disappointed and honestly like disgusted I felt with humanity. And you know, it's a problem that's not going to solve itself. So I was like, I guess I have to do it for everyone.
No, that makes perfect sense. So you said earlier how you hate humans, and I get that, because from that perspective, there's certainly somewhere that humans went wrong. But how, I mean, like being a part of animal welfare and like seeing what's really happening at 15, how have you decided that amongst all of that like tragedy and fucked upness, you're still going to be a part of it? Like as one person and trying to teach the world.
Because you know what? It's the same as not eating meat. Me being a vegetarian is not going to save every cow on the planet. Like that is a silly way to think, but I'm not contributing to that. I can look at the problem, the entire problem, and look at that and say, I am one person. I'm not going to change anything, but I'm not contributing to this problem. I can at least know that I am one less person who is going to be part of the senseless death of these animals. And so I suppose that can be transferred over to, you know, dogs as well. But I think that people are a lot more willing to kind of accept the basic truth that you shouldn't shop for your dogs. You should do a lot of research before you adopt a dog so that, you know, you're not bringing it back to the shelter and all of these things. And so I do feel like there's a little bit more of a willingness to sort of learn and perhaps even like change your mind in that space. It is very discouraging regardless, because there are still people who are so adamant about, you know, about anti-dogs from shelters, which is just absolutely, it sucks. It really sucks. But I do know that I've had conversations with people about it, and I do know people who in the past have bought their dogs and who, moving forward, I mean, unless they're just lying to me, which they very well could be, they tell me all the time, moving forward, like, I had no idea it was like this. I'm so horrified, et cetera, et cetera. I will never do this again. I don't know. My mom has never done it again. She's well aware of the issues of the reasons why you shouldn't buy a dog from a breeder. The last dog she bought from a breeder was our black lab back in like 1991. And so, you know, it's not like a great example because it's my mom, but she got educated and understood like you shouldn't do that. And she said, oh my God, I will never do it again in my entire life.
Yeah.
So shout out to Amy Losi for raising such, I guess, woke children.
Angry children.
Wow. And also for being an amazing, amazing foster for us.
Yeah. I mean, your entire family at this point is involved in DE, either as adopters or fosters.
Yep.
That's cool.
Yeah. And also, I'd like to add that to anybody watching this who has ever purchased a dog from a breeder, you should find a rescue that you believe in and donate a couple $1,000s or whatever it was that you paid for that dog.
That's the rule.
Make a donation.
That's the rule. If you're going to spend $5,000 on a dog from a pet store, please spend $5,000 on a rescue, and it's tax deductible.
Yep.
Yeah.
You will say, I can't even tell you how. Sometimes we hear how much someone spent on a dog at a breeder or pet store. And it's like, oh my, you have no idea what that money could do for a rescue. It's insane.
Yeah.
Insane.
It's true.
Very frustrating. Right?
Jojo thinks so, yes.
Yeah.
I think that we should talk a little bit about Jude because he is adoptable.
Yes.
Because we asked Hannah if he was home forever and she didn't say I'll sign the contract. So can you tell us about Jude? Tell us about him. Tell us about what he would bring to a home. Give us a little bio about Jude.
Should I be brutally honest, or should I be
We
fun
want
and
you could be fun and flirty while also being honest. Be honest.
What do you think, Jude Man? Jude Man's middle name is Obama because it's a reminder to him to strive every single day to be more like Barack Obama. So to be more pleasant, calm, have more leadership skills, right?
Yeah, he's doing good job.
Jude ended up in the shelter. A lot of dogs that, the shelter intake paperwork says stray, they don't do research to make sure that's the truth. So I could literally take Jude, go to a shelter and say, I found this dog. He was running across the street. I don't know whose dog he is. Here you go. So yes, he was brought in as a stray, but that could be complete BS. But he was brought into the shelter as a stray. He was really skinny. I remember they said he had nasal discharge. He was really dirty. He had really bad eye crust underneath his eyes. It was dark colored and it was all the way down. He also had really bad teeth. And so like Lindsay said, I went and I scooped him up.
This one is perfect.
I said, this is a nice boy. and I took him home. I gave him a shower. And during that shower, one of his teeth fell out. Do you remember? Do you remember that?
Didn't want it.
Do you remember? Doesn't remember. But I quickly learned that he was a challenge. He bit me all the time. He screams a lot. He's really tired right now. He screams a lot. We recently learned that he's blind, right?
He became blind though as he's become older.
He always had impaired vision, but over the past 2 or 3 months, it's gotten really bad, and the vet confirmed that he's blind. But he's super funny. He kind of reminds me of a cat. He's just weird. He's got a lot of weird little quirks and stuff, but he's a crack up. He pecks at his food and at his treats. He likes to sleep. He has a really special bed that we got from Disneyland for him, right? It's a baby Grogu bed, and it has a heating pad in it.
How many teeth does he currently have post-dental surgery?
I think the last we actually checked, he had 7 all on the bottom, but I feel like it might be less.
There's not 7 teeth in that
right?
mouth.
I don't think there is.
No way
There's definitely 2.
Okay.
But
well, does it still hurt when he bites you?
Yes. It doesn't he broke the skin fairly recently, but otherwise it just bruises really badly because it's like a pinch.
He's gumming, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Jude.
Yeah, it's pretty mean. He loves being outside. He loves being in the bath. Right?
What's his ideal life?
Living in a not living in a backyard, but having access to a backyard that's fenced in and sunny, that he can just walk around in all day. He bounces off the walls with his little halo. Amazing. Right?
Well, if that sounds like a fit for you, you can apply to adopt Jude on our website, deityanimalrescue.org. Jude is on there as well as all of our other amazing adoptable dogs.
And he will be on there until further notice, until Hannah really says that he's home.
I don't know. She's had a lot of opportunity.
I know.
He's a lovable boy.
He is.
Right?
You just have to enjoy his quirks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's good.
Thank you for being here, Hannah.
Sorry I was such a wreck.
This animal welfare world is hard.
It's true.
There's a lot of disappointment, but then there's a lot of happy faces, like all of these wonderful Deity dogs who wouldn't have had this life without you. So.
Listen, here's the thing. If you look at the issues in the shelters right now, and you look at rescues and you think to yourself, oh my God, what do I do? How can I help? I don't know what to do. Here are the ways you can help.
Tell us.
Donate money. Adopt a dog. Foster a dog. Follow them on social media. Join their newsletter. Buy a shirt from their website that has their name on it. Tell your friends about them. Tell your friends, hey, do you want to foster a dog? Adopt a dog. Look at this dog. Look at that dog. Share the dogs on your social media. There are infinite ways. You don't have to spend any money. You don't have to add another animal to your household. All you have to do is just talk about it, educate other people, tell people anything about anything, and just care. All you gotta do is care. It's not a big deal. You just gotta care about it.
It's not a big deal. You just gotta care.
You just gotta care, right,
I think
Jude?
that sums it up.
Think about anything you care about, right?
He says, I second all of
This
that.
is closing remarks. You want to go walk?
Thank you for listening or watching a podcast by Deity Animal Rescue. You can catch us here every week with new guests and new available adoptable dogs. We hope that you continue to support our journey.